Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for June 28, 2024. We're going to be discussing the elder abuse we saw tonight. I mean the presidential election debate that we saw tonight, and then we'll get into some TV shows as well. But yeah, we'll have plenty of the things to discuss tonight. So looking forward to it. Before we intro our co-host tonight, we are going to ask you to please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. As you can see on the screen here, we have a ton of t-shirts. Or one of the debaters tonight, Pedo Pete, is you can get his t-shirt here, although we don't know how much longer he's going to last into this election. We have a bunch of stuff. Biden pooped his pants t-shirt. Sure, you guys will like that. I gave that to my dad for Father's Day, and he got a kick out of it. And also, August is coming up, which means Gluttony Month is going to be upon us. Omnifral, our guest, I'm going to ask you very quickly, do you think this resembles me at all? If you can see the screen, granted, not the blue hair and the blue beard, but, just me drafting fantasy, eating cheese and donuts. So it's supposed to be me, but I don't know if ChatGPT did a great job.
Yeah, I see a resemblance.
Yeah,
the build and the way, yeah.
Yeah. Just the blue hair, blue beard, not quite, but maybe I'll dye my hair and my beard for August. So we're going to get into all that. Something else you guys can do to help support the show. We have super chats and super stickers. These YouTube ads pay nothing. I talk about this all the time. The last time we had a show with no super chats and super stickers, we made like 71 cents, but we've had some great contributions in the past several episodes and really the past few months. John Sanders has contributed the past 5. We had Kevin Kovac sending $30 worth of super stickers the past 2 episodes. Slew, Germ, Degeneron, like you guys have been so awesome. So just really appreciate your contributions. Also, something else you can do to support the show is buy my new book on Amazon. It's called Jerks of the College Years. As you can see on the screen here, I ran into quite a few crazy people during my 6 years at Penn State. If you like Jerks of the Week, this is basically it. This is my book here. And yeah, just buying this could help support the show. And like I said, if you like Jerks of the Week, you'll definitely like this. It's basically written in the same format. So, all right. So let's intro our guest. It's the Omniferal making his second appearance on the After Dark show. We talked about TV shows the last time. It was about a month ago. I thought I'd have you back on for the debate analysis tonight because I know you're going to watch it. I know you're very engaged into politics, and I think you have a lot of interesting things to say about it. And also, I want to get into some TV shows at the end, and I know you're an expert in that field as well. So, Omniferal, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Do you, any quick intro, anything for the people who didn't hear you last time?
Like about myself?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I've gotten more engaged in politics, not engaged in politics, but interested, I guess. I don't even know, like maybe the last decade, maybe a little bit less. Always loved TV and movies, screenwriting, different things. So I guess that kind of is my reason for being here.
Yeah. No, I mean, we used to, we've been best friends since we were both 5. We're like 20 days apart. So we first met on your cul-de-sac, and I remember disliking you the first day we met because I thought you were cheating at freeze tag, but then we became best friends. And I know you're super knowledgeable in this stuff. So I thought you'd be a great guest to have on tonight. We've had a couple of comments here. Dick Togo says embarrassing debate. Seemed the only energy was over golf handicaps. That was weird.
That was weird. We'll get into that, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Chris Horst says odds for Trump to win the election went from -130 to -210 before settling at -190. I don't know if you're familiar with betting odds, but this basically says so -130. If you want to make $100, you have to bet 130. So Trump would be the favorite in that instance. And then he went to -210. So if you wanted to make 100, you'd have to bet $210 to make 100. So it's a huge, it's a huge rise for Trump to be favored. And then he went down to -190 toward the end, which makes sense because we'll get into why. I think there's a good reason why it may have fell a little bit, but we'll talk about that too. Dick says, Trump now will win. Biden is so washed. He lost the moment he spoke. LOL. minus 200, bet 100 to, bet 100 to win 50. Yeah, it's basically the same thing. Make America Great Again says Dem's going to replace Biden now. And then Chris says, I'm in my horse era again. Nice. All right. So what are your overarching thoughts on the debate? I know, I don't know if you want to get into like what you thought beforehand, because I know you had a belief that maybe Trump shouldn't do this debate, and I thought you made some good points about that. But what are your thoughts about the debate overall?
Well, I can get into my concerns if you want. Yeah. So my concerns before the debate were that Trump was already, pretty close, if not leading in most of the polls, like within the margin of error. And I think that's largely mainly due to Biden's poor presidency. And also just Trump not being in the limelight over the past 4 years and like kind of staying off social media and kind of not reminding the people who dislike him. Just like there's a lot of like independent voters, especially women, I think, who dislike him based on feeling. And they just think he comes across as scummy and immature. And I think it became over time without Trump, without Trump having a presence on social media like he used to, and without an opportunity for him to kind of say the things he used to, like his rhetoric, it gave people a chance to have like a referendum on Biden's presidency, which has been a complete disaster. So my concern was this was obviously set up by Biden's team as like a trap for Trump to get him to kind of say the things that he used to say and remind people why they dislike him, or remind the independent voters. I think a lot of people obviously already have their minds made up on who they're going to vote for. So I think it's really just about the independent voters who probably aren't even that familiar with politics to begin with. It's just more like a feeling thing. Like they just don't like Trump and like would never vote for him because they just think he's a scumbag. And they wanted to remind people of that. And that was my concern. I thought I personally thought that if Trump just didn't say anything until the election, literally just like crawled into a hole and let Biden's presidency speak for itself, then he would win by a lot. So that was my concern. I thought that he didn't need the debate to get ahead.
I totally agree with that. But I really wondered if Trump would fall into that trap of, talking about like esoteric stuff that independents don't really care about. Like I thought he should have just nailed Biden on his horrible presidency, like inflation being out of control, like people having I saw a news report from Bloomberg saying I think it was like 25% of people, Americans are taking out loans to buy groceries, which is insane. Credit card debt is all-time high. People can't afford homes. You have this crazy illegal immigration going on. People are dying from these illegal immigrants. Like it's such a horrible presidency that I thought Trump, if Biden brought up stuff like very fine people on both sides or whatever nonsense, Trump should have just said, we could talk about that, or we could talk about, these insane inflation prices, or the fact that people can't afford to buy groceries, and just attack Biden on the presidency. Yeah, I agree. And I think he did kind of do that at times. I mean, we can get into that. I don't know. You want to talk about the actual debate now? Of course. Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Yeah, it was pretty frustrating to watch, in my opinion. First, it's frustrating because it started off with, I thought Trump winning. It's tough because I'm looking at it from my own point of view, and it's tough for me to tell how an independent voter would feel watching it. Like I said, I think a lot of people already have their minds made up on who they're going to vote for. Everyone knows what life was like under Trump versus now the thing is, Trump has already been president. So it's not like when he first ran, everybody already knows what life was like under Trump compared to Biden. Now they've already experienced almost 4 years under Biden. So it's like a pretty easy comparison to see what you like better. It's hard for them to kind of come up with new things to make up about each other that's going to change people's opinions. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I see some people going Trump is going to lock up so many people when he gets president. I'm like, well, but he was president.
He's not. He can't lock up anybody. He doesn't have the power to do. I won't even get into that. The only person who's locked up anybody or done anything tyrannical is Biden. Trump never did any of that stuff. He said he was going to lock. He never even did anything to Hillary Clinton, who should have been locked up.
Right.
He doesn't do things against his political opponents. Biden's the only one who does that. That's the irony of this whole thing, is that it's just gaslighting on the part of the Democrats. But whatever. We can get into the actual debate. At first it started off where I thought Trump was winning, and Biden was just, doing the doddering old man stuff where he couldn't even talk, clear dementia, and he was stuttering and couldn't get a thought out. And then Biden started to kind of like speak a little bit more clearly, and Trump started to just saying his nonsense that he usually says, where like anything Biden said, he would keep talking about the border for some reason, and kept talking. He just kept saying the same thing. He's like, "Is the crazy people coming from the asylums?" And it's like, stop saying that. The frustrating part for me for the whole debate was, if you just had a normal dude who didn't say that kind of stuff and actually like could like didn't have Trump's like rhetoric and kind of always like this grandiose view of himself and saying all that kind of nonsense, you could easily destroy Biden. Like if you had Vivek Ramaswamy on stage with him, he would have wiped the floor clean with Biden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was frustrating to watch because there were so many opportunities for Trump to say things. Like one example was like Biden said something like, "Yeah, I remember the Nazi flags and your supporters, and they were all these Nazis." And like all Trump would have had to say is, under your presidency, there's thousands of college students who are saying "Death to America" and supporting a terrorist group and blocking blocking synagogues and not allowing Jews to come in and saying "Kill the Jews." Under your watch, and you haven't really condemned any of it because you're pandering to your far left base. That's all he would have had to say, but instead he was like, "Yeah, but the border and the same people from the asylum." It was like, there were a lot of examples like that where it was just frustrating. It's like any other candidate could have easily destroyed Biden, who was just kind of like muttering but I don't know. It's hard for me to tell who actually won though. Like Trump definitely had a better final statement. Biden kind of showed his age again when he tried to wrap it up and like could barely talk. I don't know. Like Trump didn't do any of his immature stuff. Like he wasn't like, as far as like, name calling or doing anything like kind of immature and childish, like he didn't really do that, which I think is good. I think the expectations for both of them were very low. I think that like Biden basically just had to show up and be able to speak for people to be like, "Oh, that's a win." And Trump just had to not be like over the top for it to be a win for him. So it's a tough call because like I think Trump wasn't really over the top, but he did say some nonsense that I'm sure all the left-wing media publications are going to start like fake fact-checking him tomorrow. And do all that kind of nonsense thinking that anybody cares. Like, I don't know. So I don't know. It was frustrating. It was just really frustrating. It was frustrating that Trump could have said things that would have just destroyed Biden. And it was also just frustrating watching Biden try to speak. And it's just annoying that both of them.
Yeah,
and that's how I felt throughout the entire thing.
Oh yeah, Biden couldn't speak at all at the beginning. And
at the beginning and the end. Yeah. He at the beginning and the end, it seemed like he just like lost steam.
Yeah, he got a little more lucid toward the middle. Yeah, especially when he got angry. Like there were a couple instances where he just became furious for some reason, and that tends to happen with people with Alzheimer's, like because they can't remember what they want to say.
And he actually got more spiteful and kind of mean than Trump did by far.
I agree with that as well. There's one instance where Biden kind of muttered for like 45 seconds, and then he ended on something with Medicare when they weren't even talking about Medicare. And then I think the best thing Trump said was, "I really don't know what he said at the end there. I don't think he even knows what he said." I thought that was hilarious. I had some concerns like you did heading into the debate. Like I thought that Trump could fall into that trap rather than attack Biden on his presidency. And I think Trump did a great job at the beginning, just attacking Biden on the presidency. And he sounded a lot more professional than, what I'm used to. Then again, like, I do love the unprofessionalism. I am, I'm a crazy person like that, but I do understand that, you have to win the independents in this matter. So, from that perspective, I did like it. Trump could save the unprofessionalism toward, for his rallies, which are a lot of fun. But he for the most part, I don't think he fell into that trap. Like there were a couple instances where he started talking about stuff. He like when he mentioned Hunter Biden being a convicted felon, I didn't want him to go there just because, like Hunter Biden has done a lot of bad things, but like the stuff they got him for was like lying on his like when he's trying to buy a gun, he lied on the form. It's like who cares like about that stuff? Like
same thing. So they got Trump for dumber stuff, but yeah,
right. That's irrelevant compared to the other crimes that Hunter committed that he hasn't been convicted of, and he's going to be convicted of this nonsense that like he really shouldn't be. I thought that gun.
Oh no, I was just gonna. I mean, there's no reason to bring that up. Like, I don't think it's going to hurt him. It just was frustrating because there were really good answers he could have said to everything,
Yeah.
And that's where I kept getting frustrated. I was like, stop saying the same stuff. Stop. It's almost like he prides himself on not being knowledgeable. Yeah. And it's frustrating because his rhetoric is one thing, and like his actual policies are like pretty moderate and like good. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure he works with other people who make a lot of the decisions with him. You know what I mean? Even though he does seem like he always has to make the final decision, I'm sure he delegates the people that he trusts. But like when it comes to like these kinds of things, like debates, it's like you just kind of hear his rhetoric, and it's like frustrating. It's like I wish that there's so many things he could have destroyed Biden on. Like everything Biden said was completely stupid and destroyable, and like you could have made so many points about Biden's bad presidency. The only point that he really made that I agree with, that was true, is that I do think that like Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan, which was like a huge debacle, was the precedent that like it was set the precedent for everything else that's happening in the world. I do think that like basically everything Biden's done, his entire presidency has been aimed at not losing against Trump when it was Trump's time to run again. So like he's not wanted to get involved in any. He's had really weak foreign policy because he's afraid of getting involved in any kind of conflict that'll make his presidency look even worse. And that in turn has made him a weak-seeming president to everyone around the world, which has led to chaos around the world. I do think a lot of these things, a lot of these conflicts, like in Israel and Ukraine, would not have happened under Trump.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
So
I mean, they're good.
Yeah. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think that they definitely saw weakness, and I thought it's funny that Biden was the one who brought up Afghanistan for the first time, and I was surprised he did that because I'm like, yeah, you botched Afghanistan completely. So like, why would you bring that up? For Trump could easily attack you over that, but yeah, no, totally. We had no new wars under Trump, and Trump was trying to get people out of the current wars, and he had the Abraham Accords and everything like that. Like he's the first president of our lifetimes not to have no new wars, which I thought was pretty incredible.
And he was hard on Iran, which other Democrat presidents have not been, including Biden. He did have good foreign policy, and I do think none of these things. I mean, there's no way to know, but I do believe that a lot of these things would not have happened under Trump because I think that other leaders respect other leaders that they think are powerful, especially leaders that are part of like dictatorship countries and authoritarian. Like that's what they respect. They don't respect Biden even a little bit. And like that was the one thing that Trump, the point that he made at the beginning that I was like, that's like good job. Like that was a good comeback at that. But then he kind of stopped there with any kind of good comebacks that would have just been so easy. Like he could have talked about like Biden promoting just racial division in the country and how that's like pretty much destroyed the country. Even when Biden says something like small black businesses, like what kind of a weird thing is that to say? Well, you know what I mean? It's like, don't you realize that that's like racist to like just be like small, like that's how you're promoting people to view the country, to view each other as Americans is by race and ethnicity and like I'm going to give $10,000 to black people buying a house. It's like what? Like you think that's, do you know what I mean? Like it's like racist. It's so crazy. And
well, I really thought that I wish Trump would have said this. As soon as Biden said, we're going to give $10,000 to black families to buy first home, Trump just said no one could afford to buy homes right now because they're so expensive and the interest rates are insane on their yield. Yeah,
this is the worst time to be giving money for people to buy home. That's the reason the mortgage crisis happened in the first place, like years ago.
Right.
It's because people can't afford to pay back mortgages when you're giving them money to buy homes for homes that they can't afford. I mean, there's so many things he could have said, and that's really what I took away from the whole debate. It was frustrating, but that's just the thing is that's how I look at it. I'm trying to think of it from like an independent point of view, and I kind of feel like I don't know if it would have made a difference to anybody. Like I think a lot of people have their minds made up on who they're going to vote for based on who they like to begin with, or just based on the what's going on now in the country. And then people who are undecided, I don't know if that would have made a difference. I don't know. It's tough to say if that would have made any difference, that debate. It didn't really feel like anybody like won anything. It just seemed like two old men. One guy, was doing his usual stuff where he's like talking about himself, everything's beautiful and huge and whatever, and then the other guy is like dementia, and it's like everybody already knows that. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I have no idea.
Well, I do think like Trump fell into that trap where he was like, we had the best numbers, we had the best everything. Like it's so subjective. And like, yeah, I mean, the economy was great under him. And like when he said the stuff about we had the cleanest water, like, I don't know if that's true or not. Like, I imagine some people
I'm sure none of it's true. I'm sure none of it's true. That's what he does. I'm sure none of it's true. He just says stuff. I mean, that's just what he does. Like, I wouldn't call him a pathological liar. It's just like he's one of those dudes that just when he's speaking, he just says things, and he is a narcissist, but they're all narcissists. That's the thing. Like, all politicians are narcissists. Right. Trump is just more of a character, whereas like the other politicians, I think their narcissism is more not malicious, but you know what I mean? Like Biden, I'm sure, is a narcissist also. Like, you have to be to get into politics. That's like the whole point, is that you want the power and the attention. It's just Trump has this way, like, you know, he makes stuff up on the spot, and then it gives these left-wing media outlets fuel to start fact checking. They already, like, you know, they knew that was going to happen, so they can already start doing their like New York Times fact check, and like, no, that's not true that he had the best water, and it's like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? It's so stupid.
Yeah.
But that's what their plan was from the get-go. That's the whole point of this debate for them, was to kind of get him saying his nonsense and to be able to use that against him. But I think it's like too late for that. I don't know. I don't think anybody cares anymore. Like, everybody knows that it was better under Trump, and everybody knows that Biden is like one of the worst presidents in history. And I don't know if independence is going to make a difference. I think that, I don't know. Really tough call.
Yeah, Biden kept bringing up that that vote that the scholars had. I saw that on Twitter.
They're all left-wing, yeah.
They're all left-wing nut jobs. They had like Woodrow Wilson as like one of the better presidents. He was like, in my opinion, the worst president of all time. Because he instituted the Federal Reserve and the income tax and stuff like that. He was just awful. But no, like I wish Trump would have said, like, I don't care about the stupid scholars. You know, like just brush that off and
he shouldn't even have brought it up. He shouldn't have brought it up. There's so many things he shouldn't have said. So many things he should have said, like when Biden was talking about how there were like 3 terrorists, or the only terrorists that were ever killed anybody under your watch when they crossed the border, and it's like there were like 8 or 9 terrorists who were just arrested from Tajikistan who crossed the border. They were just arrested for probably plotting a terror attack on U.S. soil, and God knows how many other thousands of terrorists have crossed. It's like, what? Like, that's all he had to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a lot of instances like that, where that's all he had to say, and Biden would have been like, duh, duh, and had literally nothing, and he just didn't take advantage of it. But yeah, I just have this gut feeling. I just don't think it's going to change anyone's minds. I think people already know. I think if they hadn't already both been president already, it'd be different. But I think at this point, I think people know who they're going to vote for, and I don't think it's going to change too much. I don't know if I trust polls. I do think like polls, you can be very surprised when the election actually comes. And the polling, I don't really fully trust it, but I don't know.
Well, I think there's independents who may have not have known. You know, like obviously I feel like you're right in saying that a lot of people are like already have their minds made up, but I think that a lot of independents may not. So I think this definitely helped Trump, in my opinion. As far as, you know, winning the debate, it can't be Biden. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Biden's replaced after this. And
I think that's why they did it. I think that they did it this early on, not only to trap Trump, but also to give a chance before the Democratic convention to replace him if they need to.
Yeah, the unpredicted. Biden fell down 20 points. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, went up 10 points tonight. So I even asked this on Twitter. I'm like, who's replacing Biden after tonight's debate? And most people said Newsom. It might be Newsom. I think it's going to be either Newsom or Hillary Clinton. I think it's going to be one of those two.
Oh, man. Oh, that's rough.
Exactly.
I've been scared it's going to be Newsom. If it's Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton will lose. That would be a bad move. People do not like Hillary Clinton. Everyone knows that she's like, I mean, she's literally like just comes across as just evil. You know what I mean? It's like a different level than Trump. Like, she's like conniving and evil and just makes stuff up, and like kind of like what I was talking about. Like, she's like a malicious narcissist.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like Trump is just kind of a character. Like, I actually think Trump is probably a good person. Like, when you see him behind the scenes, he's always like a good dude. Hillary Clinton actually is like nefarious.
Yeah.
I think she would lose. Newsom scares me. I've been worried that they were going to run Newsom from the get-go, even before like any of this stuff. And yeah, he's pretty horrible, but he would definitely beat Trump in a debate.
Newsom's a fantastic debater. Like, he debated DeSantis, and a lot of people are like, oh, how can he win this debate? California's in shambles. They poop on the street. It's a disaster. California is. He won the debate, and people are like, wow, how'd that happen? What happened was that like he kept spouting these like ridiculous stats and numbers at DeSantis, and then after the debate, they fact checked him, and like every single stat he said was wrong. Like he just made everything up.
Of course.
But he's like a lizard person who could just like it just like make stuff up. And
he's horrible. I mean, talk about a narcissist. I mean, come on. He's like the classic like left wing psycho. It's a shame. That's the thing with debates. It's all about affectation and like people's feelings when they watch you. It's not like about anything of substance, I feel like, for most people. Yeah. And that's why I don't know. It's just a shame because like DeSantis has proven himself from a governance standpoint over Newsom by far, but like most people aren't aware of that unless you live in Florida. That's the problem. Like most people don't really know about politics or things that are going on or the news. And when they do learn about it, they unfortunately learn about it from like propaganda media sources, which didn't used to be the case, but now everything's just so partisan. So like you can't even read stuff anymore. So it's like it's a shame. Like people don't really know what's going on, and like that's a good example. Like DeSantis is a great governor and has proved himself from a leadership standpoint. And Newsom's horrible, but if you go into a debate, people are going to be like, "Oh, Newsom won. He's charismatic," and you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, he's super charismatic. He can I call him a lizard person because like and I think what you said makes a lot of sense. You know, a lot of people aren't into politics, and so getting into the esoteric stuff, I thought would be a mistake for Trump. And he fell into the trap toward the middle. Like I thought he had a great beginning. I thought he had a great finish. I think in the middle he kind of faltered. Like when he, like I said before, he brought up Hunter Biden, being a felon, like the Russia stuff,
the border. He kept bringing up the border and the insane asylums. He kept saying that over and over again.
like all the stuff that like people don't care about. Like people care about the economy being terrible. People care about not being able to afford groceries. People care about not being able to buy homes. People care about these insane interest rates and their credit card bills, not being able to pay them. Like I said, credit card debt all-time high right now. They care about their jobs being taken away by illegal immigrants. They care about people dying from illegal immigration. Like this is the stuff they care about. And like,
there you go.
No, I was saying like Trump could have just kept hammering that stuff over and over again. And really, he could have. Someone brought this up on Twitter. Trump could have just easily been like, "I see my time to you." Why can't people afford groceries, Joe? I'll see my time to you. He could have just said that. And
also, I was just thinking that like one of the reasons that the only reason that people vote for Biden, I think, isn't because they like him. I don't even think he has too many true supporters. It's just the people that are going to vote for Biden are the never Trumpers, the people with Trump derangement syndrome that are just afraid for whatever reason that he's going to destroy democracy and become a dictator. Mm-hmm. And all those like nonsense fears that they have that aren't based in reality. And what Trump should have done was really try to like assuage those fears. And just say, he should have been like, yeah, if I lose the election, I'll lose the election. First of all, he can't run again. If he does win, he can't run again. So he can't, like, people are like, he's going to be a dictator. It's like, you can't do that. It's not, we don't live in a system where you can do that in America. So like, there is no way for him to be a dictator. So it's just silly when people say that stuff. He also can't run again after the second term. He's not going to like change. We're not living in Russia where he's just going to like change the laws and like become like supreme leader. That's not how it works in the US. And it's not like the military is going to back him up in some kind of coup. It's just so crazy. And that's the thing. That's what people really believe about him. They really are afraid of that. Like the never Trumpers. And if he had just said stuff to allay those fears, just been like, actually swallowed his pride and just said, yes, I don't think the election was a fraud or whatever, even if there were evidence of fraud, whatever. And just kind of just said what he needed to, because that would have won over a lot of people. I think that would have won over people that aren't even independent voters that actually were going to vote for Biden. If he had just sucked it up, because that's what people want to see. They think that he's like nuts, and they think that his rhetoric is insane, and that he's like a dictator type. And if he had just like sucked it up and just said that stuff, I think he'd win with like 90% of the vote. No joke.
Well, I don't think you can convince the never Trumpers. I think they've just been brainwashed by the media at this point. Like you have to convince the independents.
There would have been some. You're right. I do believe that, but some of them are deranged. Like some of them really are just psycho about it. I do think there are some that, if he had just said like, yeah, like no insurrections, no nothing, I'll leave office and I'm not going to be a dictator. I'm not going to start prosecuting my political opponents like Biden does. And then people would have been like, oh, okay. And then he could have also said, which I think is a major issue that people downplay, is the abortion thing. Just because I think abortion is so ingrained in our society as like a right for women, and people view it that way. I think that was like the main reason that the red wave never happened in like 2022.
Yeah.
That was like the whole reason. It's just because it happened right after Roe v. Wade. And I think that was underestimated as to how much of an effect that had. Because I also think people didn't understand what the overturning of Roe v. Wade meant. So I think people really thought that, oh, Roe v. Wade's overturned, so now abortion's illegal everywhere. And I don't think people really understood that. And Trump should have really just made clear he's not planning on banning abortion at any point in his presidency.
Mm. Yeah,
I think he should have said that. Because I don't think he will. And so he should have just said that, because I think that's another huge issue. In terms of the independent people. As far as the economy, even the independent people know the economy sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the things that I think would change their mind are like abortion and like this dictator stuff that they have in their heads, that they think he's going to like start being a dictator, despite the fact that he was already president and wasn't a dictator and left office.
Yeah, it's just these people just believe it though, and like I said, you're not going to convince them, but the independents you definitely can convince. We have some comments when it gets to. Sure. We have a lot of comments. Let's see. Chris says they really have to replace Biden. He's talking about running Biden is just cruel at this point. How is this guy going to last another 4 years? I was following Antonio Brown's Twitter feed. Antonio Brown, former receiver for the Steelers, Buccaneers, Patriots, Raiders. I don't think he ever played for the Raiders, but he was just a fantastic player in the NFL. I've said that he's had the best post NFL career from anyone since O.J. Simpson, because he's been amazing on Twitter. And during he had like live tweeting during the debate. And he said that what did he say? He's like I don't think this guy is fit to be president. And I replied, I don't think this guy's fit to be a Walmart greeter at this point. So I really I don't think that Biden is going to end up running. I thought that beforehand, before this debate too. And as soon as Biden started talking, like he could barely talk at the beginning, and then he got so tripped up where like he muttered for 45 seconds, and like CNN had to even cut him off. Like I thought, like in the past, I thought like. I want to echo Michael Scott here and say the turntables have turned. Like during the 2020 debates, like it felt like CNN was always cutting off Trump. But here, it felt like they were cutting off Biden more so than Trump, because they were trying to save Biden because he couldn't speak. And so I think people saw that, like the true loser. Like maybe you could say Trump didn't win this debate because if they replace Biden with someone better, it could be tougher to win the presidency. But the only loser in this debate is clearly Biden, because I think they're going to replace him. So I agree with Chris here. I can't see him running. Like he's not going to last 4 years, and then we're going to get Kamala Harris, who can win a single delegate. Like it's just the disaster. So I think it's going to be either Hillary or Newsom at this point. Unless they get Big Mike. I think they really want Big Mike to be president. Let's see. Chris says largely due to Trump holding a lead in all the major swing states. Yeah, according to polling, but you never know what the polling. Chris says, do you think maybe you could get Trump and Biden on to discuss golf with Nuggets and Butters? That would be fun. I don't know if they'd quite do that, but let's try to get Antonio Brown on first. Mike says, so many important questions. Can Trump carry his own golf clubs for 9 holes? Can Biden, who has the better swing? Any thoughts on that? I thought that was a funny exchange when they were talking about golf. Like I doubt anyone cares, but I thought that was hilarious.
That's when I was like, Jesus, what am I watching? Like, what is going on? Like they're literally arguing with each other about golf. That was insane.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, but
at least it was immature. It was immature of both of them, at least. You know what I mean? It wasn't like Trump started bringing up golf and like they were both literally arguing about golf, like two kids.
Yeah, but Trump did have a great line. He's like, yeah, you lie a lot, but that was the biggest lie you ever said, the 6 handicap. That was funny. Mooj X Hooligan says, is there any truth to Trump having the cleanest water? So like if like one area of the country or like one city can say that they, like truthfully that they have the cleanest water, then that's true. Like it's like one of those commercials where you hear like, we have the best product. That's an opinion statement. Like you can't be sued over that or anything like that. Like if one area had the cleanest water, then that's true. Like, but we don't know. I would love to get that fact checked. And who knows? Who knows? Like maybe they did. Well, I don't know. I mean, there's some areas in the country like Flint, Michigan, like they don't have clean water at all. Like it's a disaster.
I feel like isn't that like a local thing? Like is that even under federal jurisdiction? I really don't know, to be honest with you. But
well, what happened?
Yeah, go ahead.
what happened with the Flint, Michigan thing was they used to take in Detroit water, and what happened was a lot of the the car manufacturing, like a lot of the jobs left Detroit, and so if you have a lot of people leaving, the bill for the water for each person is going to rise. Like imagine just make a number up. If it's like $1 million and you divide it by X people, if you have more, if X is greater, it's going to cost less. But if you only have like one person there, it's going to cost them $1 million. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
people left, and so water got more expensive. And then the Flint was like, "Oh, we're going to switch. We're going to get out of Detroit water, which is good." And then they went to their own water, but that got contaminated, and people in Flint couldn't drink because they couldn't afford the Detroit water. So yeah, it's just it's the awful situation that they had there. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. As far as like pretty much anything Trump says, where he said we are the greatest, whatever, I would assume it's probably not true. In all honesty, like most things, I would say like most of it doesn't mean he was bad. Or it just means like when he said stuff, it's just like he says things like that, which I wish he wouldn't say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I assume it's not true. He just, he tries to play himself up and say what he thinks people want to hear, which is whatever.
I think he's told this stuff. I think like someone in his his administration is like, "Hey, we have the cleanest water," and then he believes it. I don't think he makes it up off the cuff. I think he's like told this stuff because a lot of the stuff he says, like, "Yeah, I've been told this. We had the greatest ever." That's what people said. Like that, he says that a lot, especially during his rallies. But you just don't know, and it's hard to fact check this. So I don't know. I'd love to see a fact check of it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of the stuff they were concerned about was like the green policies for like climate change and stuff, which is like a whole other topic, which I don't know, like as far as like energy independence, the US, and like what we should be investing in, and how all the biggest carbon emitters in the world don't care about climate change, like China and India, and
India,
yeah, and we're not even close to having the technology or infrastructure of getting rid of fossil fuels in the foreseeable future. So like it's all pointless anyway. But whatever.
Well, ask yourself this: if climate change was real and like the rising ocean levels was going to happen, do you think banks would give out 30-year mortgages to people who bought oceanside property?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not one of those people who thinks climate change isn't real per se.
It's real. It's real. It's irrelevant. Climate has always changed in Earth's history.
That's true. I mean, I don't know how much man-made. What I don't like. I'm always skeptical a little bit of the science, especially because of COVID stuff, but also because of just because they bring up stuff that like isn't true, and they try to play it off as like a scare tactic, where like there'll be like one bad storm and they'll be like, "That's climate change," and you're like, "That's not true." There's been bad storms in the past. Like you can't just use one individual circumstance, and even like climate scientists will come out and be like, "Yeah, that's true." You can't just say one bad storm is attributable to climate change. Like that's when I start. That's what I hate about it. Is like a lot of it's like fear tactics with that kind of stuff. That said, I mean, I'm sure it's like happening. I don't think that any policies that like Western countries make are going to make a difference so long as like, people in impoverished countries have to use fossil fuels. And there's also countries where they just don't care and they're going to continue using fossil fuels. And there's really nothing we can do about it. So like we should be investing in adapting to climate change rather than trying to stop it, in my opinion. But whatever, that's a whole other issue. That's not debate related.
All right. Any celebrity who's like, I care about climate change. If you ask them, "Hey, are you going to denounce China and India for this?" Like they'll never say that.
That's what I always said. It's like the stupidest. It's so frustrating because all the climate protests happen in Western countries that are already doing the most they can in a lot of situations to stop climate change. They're already doing policies that are like green policies.
Right.
And that's where the climate protests happen because that's where they have the freedoms to do it. And so they just take advantage of it. But you won't see one climate protest in China because they'll get imprisoned within 5 seconds, and you won't see it in India. You won't see it in any of the like, you know what I mean? It's so dumb and so pointless, and nobody even knows what they're protesting about. But whatever.
Oh, but they're throwing soup onto paintings. That's super.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and they're spray painting Stonehenge. They're spray painted Stonehenge because obviously the Druids are responsible for climate change.
Yeah, those Druids, man. All this carbon emissions from those Druids.
It's such ignorance, and like all they're doing is turning people against their cause. It's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah, it's all horrible, and you're right about the scare tactics. Like we have a mutual friend. I won't mention his name. I don't want to. He might be listening. But I was having dinner with him a few years ago, and I sat down with him, and we just started talking politics. He's like, he brought up this thing. He's like, "Aren't you really concerned about climate change?" Like, I'm really worried about this. I'm like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, what are you gonna do? First of all, and second, like, are you gonna like send a letter to President Xi in China and like tell him to stop the carbon emissions because like he's the most responsible for it? Like, it's the silliest thing. And you're right; they just scare people into it and just use fear tactics to kind of get their way. It's really just it's really just like money laundering for the most part to like tax people and to transfer wealth from others to them,
Yeah.
That's all it is. All right, so Dick says look like a skit. Who's the best candidates for 2028? I'm tired of these old geezers. That is a legitimate argument, and I think that could help Gavin, because he is a younger guy. I'm looking forward to Vivek Ramaswamy. I think he might be the VP pick.
I think that'd be a bad move.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I love Vivek. I don't want him to be VP either. I'd rather have him in a more important position. But I think like the VP pick should be someone who's going to get more like new votes. And I don't think Vivek's going to get any new votes. Like the people, like if Trump weren't running, a lot of Trump's votes would go to Vivek. Like I don't think Vivek's going to bring in anyone new. I would love to see like Byron Donalds, for example, or just really someone else. I think
I like Tim Scott. I just like his personality. Is that his name, Tim Scott?
Yeah.
I like his personality.
Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is someone else.
I love Tulsi Gabbard. Love Tulsi Gabbard. I would vote for Tulsi Gabbard for president if I could.
Yeah, I think she would bring in new votes. I think Byron Donalds would bring in new votes. Like I think like Trump should go in that direction. Rather than Vivek. But in fairness, I think if he made Vivek VP, I think you would get the libertarian vote because the libertarians love Vivek.
I think the only problem is that I think Vivek's personality, which I like Vivek a lot, but I think his personality and turns some people off because he comes across maybe as he's like hyper intelligent, and I think some people view that from a feelings standpoint as like disingenuous.
Yeah. And
I just feel like his personality turns people off in a not similar to Trump, but you know what I mean? I think it would be bad for him to have Vivek, even though I like Vivek a lot. I really loved him when he first started running as a candidate. And then I disagree with him a little bit on foreign policy, but I still really like him. But I have a feeling that he would hurt Trump if he ran as his vice president.
Oh, you think he'd actually hurt Trump, really?
Yeah, I think he would. I think a lot of the independents and stuff wouldn't like him. I don't think they like I think his personality would turn them off. I think he comes across as scummy also to some people.
I think I think like the Bush Republicans don't like him. But as far as independents, like the libertarians love this guy. So like I said, I think the libertarian vote will go toward Trump for sure.
No, I mean more like women, like suburban women and stuff. I think they would view him as scummy.
Well, I think they're mostly voting for Democrat anyway. Those suburban women, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're kind of on the fence because there's certain things that do hit home, which is like the economy and things like that. Like I do think that it does matter now that they've seen how bad the Biden presidency is, even though I think that a lot of them hate Trump's personality.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of them might not even vote, just based on my experience and people I've talked to. Like I think they might just not vote rather than vote for Biden. Some of them.
Yeah.
But I think Vivek would not help to win them over.
Yeah, I don't think he'd help. I don't know if he'd hurt though, but I don't think he'd help get more votes.
Fine, that's fair. Fine, point. You're right. Maybe not hurt. Maybe just help. Yeah. Not help.
Okay. Chris says Antonio Brown gave a prestigious award to Trump. He did. I won't say it because we'll get kicked off YouTube during the debate. And he said he had many negative things to say about Biden. My favorite thing that Brown said about Biden was like, "Who does he keep staring at in the audience? It must be some little kid." That was hilarious. PS says Trump beats the spread. Yeah, I think if you put a football score on this, I would say it's like 31-10, where the 10 points or the 7 out of 10 that Biden scored was on the pick six by Trump when he started bringing up Hunter. It was a blowout. I think like Biden really just showed himself to be incompetent, and I think he's going to be replaced. So Chris says odds on who won the debate got pulled early after flipping from Biden -150 to Trump -160 to -225 and gone. Yeah, I don't know how they decide who won. I guess people vote on it, but yeah, I mean. I definitely think Trump won. Like you can't say Biden won. You can. You can be neutral.
Yeah, it's a tough call. It depends what you mean by win. I don't know. I'd have to hear like some political commentators talk about it that are like that I trust, that I think are unbiased.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because like it's like by win, it's really what their goal is, like, or who they're trying to win over.
Right.
And I think Biden's whole thing was like he had to just kind of seem competent, because I think like a lot of the concerns amongst the average people is that he's old and clearly has dementia, and he needed to seem like he didn't. And I think he didn't. I think he definitely seemed like he did still. Mm-hmm. Although he did have some clarity. It's tough. That's a tough call because he might have been like lucid enough, but I don't think he's lucid enough to like win people over to think that he's completely fine. Not impressed.
Well, I think like people who have Alzheimer's, they have some moments of clarity. Like my grandma, unfortunately, had Alzheimer's, and like toward the end, like she was really bad, but she would have some moments of like clarity. She talked to us, but then just a little later, then she'd call me like Jeffrey, like who's that?
Oh yeah,
like,
he definitely he definitely wasn't lucid enough to win over anybody that thought that maybe that they were concerned about that, and they're like, let's see how he does.
Yeah,
I definitely don't think those people are like, oh no, he's completely fine. I was completely wrong. Like I don't think that's going to happen amongst anybody. So I think like that, which is a big deal. I think that was like one of the main reasons to have him up there.
Right. And yeah. I think that if anything, the independents were like, I can't vote for Biden. This guy is incompetent. You can't run the country for another 4 years, and our country is already in bad shape. I think that's the mentality they're coming away from with this debate. And if they replace Biden, suddenly that goes away. And I think whoever they bring in, not Hillary, but if they bring in Newsom or Big Mike, like suddenly there's going to be an unknown factor. And I think that'll definitely hurt Trump. So I like, as far as saying Trump won the debate, like he definitely won over Biden, but in whole, like if they replace Biden, it could be tough for Trump.
I don't know.
Because he said that stuff in the middle rather than just attacking Biden. Chris has favorite Biden comment. You have the morals of an alley cat. Well, the guy the guy who showered with his daughter saying that is pretty funny. Let's see. Doug says Trump is going to win the election easy. If it's against Biden, I think so. Now,
you think easy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. If it's against Biden, yes. If it's not, if it's someone else, we'll see. Depends who it is. If it's Hillary, I think. Hillary's gonna be closer, but I think he wins. If it's against Newsom, I do worry about that, like you do. Let's see.
I think he would destroy Hillary. I think that against Newsom, I don't know, and that's scary to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he would wipe the floor. I think he would kill Hillary.
I think
people hate her. I think people hate her. She's like on the level of what's her face, Kamala Harris. Like people just don't like her at all.
Yeah, she's just horrible. Mike said, woke PETA members won't like that alley cat comment. That's true. Chris says, I like when Biden rambled about the dangers of people getting raped by their sister.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was very strange. Chris says odds for Gavin Newsom winning the 2020 election have dropped from plus 1,600 to plus 1,000, or I guess rose to that. So yeah, and just betting wise. So before, if you bet 100 on Newsom and he won, you'd win $1,600. Now, if you bet 100, you only win 1,000, which is still significant, but still, yeah, the odds have shifted toward Newsom. After this debate, which is not surprising. Make America Great Again says CNN already starting the narrative. Dems are worried about Biden. I saw that on Twitter too. A lot of leftists on Twitter, they're freaking out about CNN, and like they're like, how are you allowing this to happen, CNN? It's like they were actually helping Biden by interrupting him when he was stumbling. So there was that. MAGA says he will be replaced at the Democratic convention. I agree with that, especially given that he's not even on the ballot in Ohio, which is very strange. CNN is a joke. They are the ESPN and newscasting. ESPN, by the way, for the NBA draft the past couple of days was awful, just horrible. Let's see. John says missing the debate was banning soccer brought up. Unfortunately, no. We would love to ban soccer. Actually, as a libertarian, I would not like to ban soccer. I just like people to just hopefully forget about it. So here we go. Andrew says, it was better under Trump. We were under quarantine. Who wants to go back to that? Well, Trump didn't put us under quarantine. It was the blue states, mostly blue states, some red states for sure. But the blue states put us under quarantine. It was a state level decision. Like the federal government doesn't have the jurisdiction to do that. And so it was a lot of the states closed, but some states stay open. South Dakota, for example, never closed anything. Florida closed for a little bit, and then they reopened very quickly. A lot of red states followed suit, but a lot of blue states were closed for a while. And so it was not Trump. That was the blue governors. Let's see here. Chris says no president will ever be as bad as Buchanan. Anyone who knows their history will not debate this. I still think it's Woodrow Wilson though. Let's see here. Okay. Andrew says she's not evil. The media manipulated you into thinking that she was evil. She's totally fine. It's talking about Hillary Clinton. Do you rebuttal? Are you there on the roll? Are you maybe you're in mute or something? I don't have you on. If you're listening, I'll just keep reading the comments. Actually, I'll just text them now to see what happened.
No, I'm here. I'm back.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost you for a minute.
Okay. Andrew's comment here. He's talking about Hillary Clinton's not evil. The media manipulated you into thinking that she's evil. She's totally fine with you. We have anything to say
she's
about
awesome. No, she's obviously the worst. It's not even about the media. I don't trust the media at all. Like no matter any sides. I have like just specific people that I would trust. And like I try to read stories on my own from like as many reliable sources as I can, which is really hard these days. But no, you can just tell by listening to her and watching her, she's the worst. That she's just not a good person, just based on perception.
There was, I can't remember who it was, but like it was someone interfering with her plans or something. And she's like, can't we just drone strike him? And then she did that like maniacal laugh.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
She made up a whole thing with the Russia collusion stuff to try to get Trump. Like it's the most unethical. Yeah, she's the worst. She's a huge scumbag.
Yeah. There's a book, I forget what it's called, but it was about the Clintons. It was written by a Secret Service member who was with the Clintons, also Bush, H.W. Bush before Bill. And he said that he watched Hillary Clinton throw a lamp in the White House at Bill Clinton. So
I mean, whatever.
She's like crazy. Like who throws a lamp at someone?
I mean, stuff happens, whatever. But whatever. I think she's not a good person. I think that she's like an elitist who looks down on half the country, and I think she'll do whatever it takes to win. She's like the ultimate narcissist. I think people can see that.
Yeah. Andrew says California's in shambles. Their economy is great. Their income is in the top 5 versus Florida, which is close to the bottom 5. The economy for the rich people in California is great. Silicon Valley and Hollywood, those people are doing awesome. You want to talk about the middle class, though? There is no middle class. People can't afford to buy homes, and there's people on the street. The economy's not great. Well, it's great for the rich, but there is no middle class, which is par for the course for any blue state.
You can also talk about crime and extreme far left policies, but whatever.
Yeah. Let's see. Chris says also quite nice that Arnold Schwarzenegger will be the last Republican governor of California in our lifetime. Well, hopefully that things turn around there. But yeah, it's unfortunate what's happened in California. It used to be a great state, but not anymore. Sue says I watched the entire debate on mute. Biden's facial expressions, he looked like the old lost geezer at the nursing home.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, it was rough. I mean, it's sad. I don't like trying to insult it. Like I do hate when political commentators like make fun of him for being old. Yeah. Like I don't, I feel bad. Like I don't like seeing an old man like not being able to talk and have problems like that. But it's like you have to acknowledge it. It's definitely an issue. On top of a million other things. It's not like even if he didn't have those problems, he'd still be a horrible president.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris says also unrelated. But why am I the only one to give these videos a thumbs up right away? Vote for Walter. Yes, please give the thumbs up, as Chris says. Let's see here. And Mike says, Walt for president. I don't want to be president. I like the highest I would ever be as governor. I would, if I were governor, I'd do like all these crazy things. They remove me right away. I'd like go off the US dollar.
Be like anarchy.
I'd ban the FBI and CIA from ever entering the state. Like I'd do all this awesome stuff that they would take me out like instantly, like JFK. Let's see. Andrew says, proving himself as governor. He's talking about DeSantis. His state income is in the bottom 10. How is he proving himself as governor?
I mean, his million other policies that have been correct. I don't know. Yeah, I base it more on like I really his anti-woke policies. I've agreed with almost all of them.
Yeah, and he says also further on DeSantis, he says he's murdered people with COVID. His
That's not
disinformation
true.
caused people to. You know who murdered people with the COVID is Andrew Cuomo and Murphy and Wolf. A lot of the blue governors who sent sick people into nursing homes and caused all the elderly people
yeah,
to die.
all of the measures that they did have already been proven to be not effective. All the measures they implemented, including like the 6-foot distance, was made up, and there's been multiple studies that have come out going against everything that all these states have done. I can't remember there was another country that actually did it the best. I don't remember if it was like Denmark. I can't remember, but they didn't do any lockdowns. It's one of those countries, and they didn't do any lockdowns, and like the least people died because it wasn't nearly as deadly as people thought. I won't get into a whole COVID discussion, but like no, none of his policies killed people because of COVID, not even close.
Right, exactly. Let's see here. John says they need to cut out the WNBA crap. I agree. Although, as I'm saying this, I have a DraftKings lineup in WNBA. I don't know who any of these people are. There's basically on recommendations, but I'm close to the cut line here. I might win $30, so that's a huge deal. Let's see. Andrew says the reason why I'm never voting for Trump is because he doesn't care about his supporters. He just cares about himself. Name me. Well,
that's actually the exact opposite.
I know. Yeah, I mean, Trump is the only politician, really, and some people would argue he's not a politician, but like the only politician who did not have or who had power and fame before they became politicians. Like usually politicians come in, they don't have much money, and then suddenly they get into office, whether it's Congress or presidency, and then they come out as like multimillionaires through these illegal stock trades and whatnot. Like Trump actually lost $1 billion in net worth while he was in office. So I think if anyone who cares about more of his supporters is Trump. But really, any other politician, name me one other politician who cares about his supporters. Like, do you think Biden cares about his supporters?
That's the irony. I think that people perceive Trump as having this ego and only caring about himself. And I do think he's a narcissist, but I think he's actually the kind of narcissist that he's extremely loyal to the people that support him. Like, I think to a fault almost. Like, I think he actually does. The people that love him, he loves them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And I think other politicians don't give a shit about anybody. I think they're the ones, like a lot of other politicians just want to be in power and they just want to do whatever they need to retain power. Whereas I do think Trump, despite being like kind of an egomaniac, he actually does care about his supporters. And I think he actually really does care about the country. I don't think he ran just out of ego. I do think that he does care. I just think that he has this way about him that people have trouble seeing through, like this egomaniacal kind of rhetoric. And I think that it's just hard for people to see past that. But it's just my opinion. But I just don't think that I don't think he's really that way behind closed doors, whereas other people hide that and they actually are, they don't really care about people. A lot of politicians.
I think I would say like 95% of politicians don't care about people.
Not at all. It's all about what's that? Oh my God, what's the one congresswoman's name who's like the biggest narcissist in the world? Who's like in the squad? Oh,
AOC.
Yeah. Like that's like a good example. Like she doesn't care about anybody.
Right.
It's all for attention. Like all she puts on a show. I mean, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Okay, so Mike says Biden also wants to ban football. He means real football, not soccer. I mean, we have to fact check that one, but yeah, we'd have issues if he banned football. Let's see. Andrew says no evidence that Biden is prosecuting Trump's. That's New York Attorney General. Like, come on, guys.
I can comment on that actually.
Yeah. Right.
It doesn't matter if there's evidence. First of all, that's stupid because nobody's investigating any evidence. Like all these media outlets that say there's no evidence, they're like, where's your evidence? That it's like they're not doing deep investigations into whether or not Biden did it because they don't want Trump to win. Regardless, it doesn't matter if Biden actually had any hand or his administration or campaign or anything had any hand in actually prosecuting Trump. The point is that he should be condemning these Democrat, like far left attorneys general who are prosecuting Trump. He should be condemning that and not wanting that to be the way America's going, where you prosecute your political opponents or where you actually run as an attorney general on the platform of being out to get a specific politician. That's crazy. Like you should not be allowed to be an attorney general if you say you're out to get anybody. That's completely unethical. So like Biden should be, by not condemning that and actually playing into it and calling him, using it to his advantage by being like, you're a convicted felon and saying all that kind of stuff is just as bad as if Biden actually played a part in it anyway. But regardless, you're not going to get any evidence. You know what I mean? Like none of these outlets that are saying there's no evidence are actually doing any kind of investigation at all because they don't care at all. They just want to see Trump go to jail, which is disgusting.
Yeah, my parents fled a country where they did that all the time, and for it to start happening here is just a nightmare.
It's crazy, dude. They call Trump a dictator, and they're literally trying to put him in jail with 4 different cases that are using legal theory that's never been done before to try to come up with these like weird, creative ways of getting him into jail before an election. It's clear as day. It's like such gaslighting that it's like not obvious that that's why they're doing it at this moment on like really like frivolous cases that are going to probably get overturned. Yeah. That's obviously what they even came out. The attorneys general said all these different cities or states said that that's what they were doing. They ran on that platform. They're going to get Trump.
Yeah, they did.
It's disgusting. So the fact that Biden doesn't condemn it and just say, I want to win fair and square. This isn't right. This isn't how we do it in America. The fact that he doesn't say that is just as bad as if he did it himself. In my opinion.
They did say that. And they actually got, it's the first time I've ever seen this. They got a guy to flip on someone on a felony for a misdemeanor, which was Michael Cohen committing grand larceny by stealing tens of thousands of dollars from Trump. He admitted that on the stand, and they're trying to get Trump on the misdemeanor, which is misappropriating payments. Which it's just like when does a felon flip on a misdemeanor? Like that doesn't make any sense.
It's all completely insane. Michael Cohen is like a perjurer, and the whole thing was insane. And the legal basis for it was insane, and it's going to probably get overturned on appeal. Hopefully. I mean, if it goes to Supreme Court, I think it would. But yeah, I mean, it's clearly out to get Trump. Like that's the whole. I mean, that's clear as day. No, and anyone who thinks these cases are legit is like, that's crazy. Come on.
Yeah, there's crazy people who are never going to change their opinions on that.
It's so weird.
Stone Papa Smurf says, no way Biden is good at golf. I don't even think he can swing a golf club, to be honest. He can't even walk up the stairs. So I don't see that happening. Maga says, Andrew Paul drinking some water with lead and fluoride. Yeah, he's drinking some of that Flint, Michigan water. Let's see here. Andrew says there's no chance if Hillary Clinton will run. It might be the Michigan governor instead of Newsom. Gretchen Whitmer, maybe her. I think they really want Newsom. Eventually, I don't know if they want Newsom for this year, but definitely for 2028 and beyond. That's why I think that's why I thought Hillary, because she's just the default. But I don't think they realize how much people hate Hillary. You know, They really do, and I don't know if they realize that.
I mean, she lost against Trump the first time before he even had a chance to prove himself as president.
That's true.
Yeah,
Chris says my favorite Trump hyperbole was Cheesecake Factory, one of the best factories. It's great. Let's see here. Andrew says I'll be Queen of England before Hillary runs again. That 2016 loss shocked and embarrassed her. Now she's done with politics. Dude, I don't know, man. She's such an egomaniac and narcissist. I doubt it. I think she wants the power more than anything, which is the scary thing. Like most of these politicians, I would say at least 95%, just made that number up, but it seems like 95% just want to be in a position just for power. You know, and that's the worst thing. Like they should care about like helping the country, but they just want to enrich themselves and extract wealth. I always bring up this quote. I said like it's from ancient Greece, and it goes, a society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they will never sit. And meanwhile, in Washington, you have people extracting wealth from future generations just to enrich themselves. It's just awful.
I mean, it's human nature, and it's also inherent to being a politician. It's just, I feel like you have to be that kind of person to get into it. Yeah. And to like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like being an actor. Like a lot of actors are like insecure and they have, crazy egos. And I feel like that's also just kind of inherent to the position of being a politician. Like in order to get into that field, you probably often have that personality type.
Yeah. And they probably have something on you too, so they can control how you vote. And they're like, hey, we'll allow you to make millions of dollars. Just vote how we want you to. It's a good deal for them. Mike says they call it global warming now because we're in the middle of a heat wave, but when it's 50 below in mid-January, it would be called climate change again. Yeah, in the 70s, they were you can watch commercials of this. In the 70s, they were very concerned about global cooling, citing that we're going to go into an ice age again. When we were in school in the 90s, they were talking about the ozone layer. Remember that? Like it's something different all the time, just to scare people, so they can they can redistribute wealth. It's all it is.
I mean, I never know if I feel like it's that nefarious of like a goal, but I do. I think sometimes they do believe it. And I think that they just think that people are so stupid that they have to scare them into doing what they want. And then it ends up like there's a lot of hubris in science. Like for some reason, like we always think that like our science today is like infallible and that we're like, at the epitome of scientific innovation. And it's like, no, it was like 100 years ago when they were like pulling people's teeth out because they thought that's like where the root of insanity was from.
Right.
We're like, you know what I mean? Like crazy, horrible medicine. It's like, we haven't come that far. It's like, there's a lot we don't know. And a lot of the science ends up getting proven wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm always like kind of skeptical. And I just think there are a lot of scientists that are just arrogant. And people, I don't know. It's like, there's always like studies the opposite way. You just have to be open to things and never assume that something is correct just because someone in an authoritative position says it.
I think they're all Scooby-Doo villains. In every Scooby-Doo episode, it's like someone dressed up as a ghost or a zombie, just scaring people away so they can lower property values so they can buy it up cheaply. That's like every Scooby-Doo episode.
you have a lot of like theories that are based on people like stealing wealth and redistributing wealth. This is funny.
Well, it's true. It's true. But no, that's what they do. They just want beachfront property to be cheaper so they can buy it up. I'm convinced of that. Otherwise,
you sound like Russell Brand whenever I listen to him. It's just funny because every commentator has like their thing that they kind of focus on. Like Russell Brand thinks everything is like some capitalist scheme.
Yeah.
Although I do think he's super smart, but he does always kind of go to that. Like he always thinks everything's like this capitalism. Anyway, go ahead.
I like Russell Brand, but no, I do think they are. I do think this is a nefarious plan just to enrich themselves. That's what they do. I mean, like Mark Cuban, owner of the Mavericks, was recently like ranting about climate change. Like he's like, I will never vote for anyone who doesn't believe in climate change. And then people point out like, hey, Mark, you have a collection of private jets. What do you think about that? And then he like stopped talking about climate change. Like these people are not serious at all.
A lot of it is also, I think, the elitists that hate. This is something that actually, when we do talk about The Boys eventually,
which might, by the way, it might be in a different episode because we have a midnight stop time here.
No, it's fine. But like, if we do talk about The Boys, it's something I can get into. Is like just how the elites view half the country, and I think that it's gotten worse. Where like they view a lot of the country as just these rural hicks who are like idiots. I think that's where a lot of this scare tactic stuff comes from, and a lot of the reason why they believe what they believe because they feel like it's like the hick idiots that believe climate change isn't real. So like they have to believe the opposite. And it's like, I think that's where a lot of this hatred and like a lot of their viewpoints come from because they just view half the country as just dumb hillbillies that are gun-toting hillbillies. And those are the ones that vote for Trump. And those are the ones that believe in all this stuff and they're anti-vaxxers. And it's a shame, but that's really how a lot of these like elitists view like most of the country. And they really hate most of the country for that reason.
No, you're totally right about that. Yeah, like I say, we have a midnight hard stop time here because just so we can talk about the TV shows in another episode. But I mean, we have so many comments here. I do want to get to most of them. And by the way, we have 2,068 concurrent viewers here. It's like insane number. That's like NFL draft type of viewership. So thanks for everyone for joining us. So John says the Polish government just announced it's going to be the first country to attempt to land on the sun.
Polish jokes. Cool.
Yeah. Yes. It says Rubio will be a smart political pick if you're thinking suburban women and old school Republicans. I do agree with old school Republicans. Rubio could get the Bush Republicans in. However, I don't like Rubio. That's the problem here. I don't trust them at all. I think he'd be another Mike Pence personally. What are your thoughts on Rubio if Trump should pick him?
I don't know that much about him, to be honest. I personally just think you should vote. I think he should pick a woman who is very sincere seeming and like kind of like the antithesis of him. Like a woman who is the opposite, like not blustering, like very. I really love Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, I would love him to pick her.
Yeah.
And I think that would win over a lot of people, just as kind of like to balance him out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And to see that there's like a woman who also has like the values that a lot of these people have, even when it comes to like abortion, who's like kind of a moderate. I think a moderate woman would be the best pick in terms of like raising the vote for him.
Yeah, I think so too. I like Tulsi. Mike says Tulsi for VP because she's hot. Carrie Lake would be okay too.
Yeah, she's also hot. Yes, she is hot.
Yeah, I would love Carrie Lake as well, but she's running for Senate in Arizona. So
she's too Trumpish. You need somebody who's not Yeah, you need somebody who can like balance him out, who seems like he picks somebody, and it would actually make him look good if he found a woman who isn't like him, who's more moderate, but likes him. You know what I mean? Like respects him. I think it would make people trust him more. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with what you're saying. Mega Alexandra says Trump crushed it. Dems already saying they have to replace Sleepy Joe. The coup has been activated. Yeah, I'd be shocked if Sleepy Joe is the candidate. I really would at this point. I would have been beforehand too. I thought he was going to be replaced by now. And maybe this debate was a plan just to replace Biden because they couldn't force him out. Like I think they tried to convince him not to run, and he ran.
I think it was like the last. I think it was the last test for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. Lofty agrees with you. He says, "Love Vivek, but he's almost too much like Trump. Trump needs a more establishment type that can still claim to be an America First type candidate." I don't know about establishment type, but I do think like more moderate. I like Tulsi. I think that's why. That's why she'd be better.
And she's was she a colonel in the military or?
She was in the military.
I mean,
yeah. So yeah,
she's the best.
Yeah. No, I
and she's super sincere. I mean, I always respect anybody that's sincere about their views, even if I disagree with them. Somebody who's just honest and like doesn't seem like they have an agenda. Like I even like Bill Maher, even though I don't agree with a lot of what he says, just because he doesn't lie to try to like win people over. Or I respect anybody like that. I look for that like sincerity. And also I like people who are articulate.
I think Bill Maher is a little. I don't know. I think he's a little.
I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him.
I don't think he follows the news though. I don't like he was who would he have on? He had someone on from Prager. It was I can't remember his name, but he was talking to him, and the guest was like, yeah, they have tampons in men's bathrooms now. And like Bill Maher was like laughing it off. He's like, that's not true. And he was like, they have those for the girlfriends. And it's like, have you not been following like what's been going on? Like, see, he seems like
he's just a comedian. He's really just a comedian. He's just like an intelligent. I don't think he's like an expert on anything. It's just more like I was trying to say. Like I like people that have principles that they stick to, and don't just kind of like say what they like. The women on The View are the worst. Like the best example of people that literally are so afraid of Trump winning that they're afraid to even say things that are true that could possibly hurt Biden. I don't like people like that. I like people that speak the truth and have their own principles and speak the truth no matter what, and understand that like that's respecting the people of America being that way and like giving people the honest truth and not trying to manipulate them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I agree. Lovesy says libertarians are going to vote for Trump after they nominated that joke of a candidate. Yeah, Chase Oliver is not libertarian at all. If they nominated like Dave Smith said he wasn't going to run, but I think that would take away votes from Trump. But yeah, Chase Oliver is going to make sure the libertarians vote for Trump for sure. So yeah, we're at midnight here. We have to.
Whatever, it's fine. It doesn't do the hard cutoff, but whatever you want to.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we still have comment. I wanted to get the comments. Like
go for it. Go for it.
This is the highest viewership we've had since the draft, so it's pretty cool. Let's see here. So John, the compliment here. Much rather listen to you guys than Fox or CNN for sure. Thanks so much, John. Although that is a low bar though with Fox and CNN, especially CNN. But Fox has gotten really bad. I used to love Tucker on Fox. But they fired him just because he spoke the truth too much about Ukraine, and so
he said some wacky stuff. He got a little wacky. In all fairness, I like Tucker too. I think he's super entertaining.
Yeah,
but he's so afraid. His thing is he's always so afraid of World War III breaking out, and like I think it actually almost drove him insane. Like I always felt like a lot of what he said was like this fear of like nuclear war from like anything America got involved in. And so he would like immediately go against any kind of foreign policy that he thought would go against. That's always just this feeling I got. It was just like this fear-based thing. And then he started to get wacky where he like did like tours of the Russian supermarket to try to show how good it is in Russia. And when he started doing that kind of weird stuff, I was like, you lost. I stopped watching him a little bit, but I still think he's entertaining. And some of what he said is true, definitely. But he got a little wacky. I like Fox. I think Fox I used to view Fox as being like, this like super right wing evangelical, like kind of, you know what I mean? Like I used to view it that way. And then it's funny because as the left became like super far left, like radical, Fox became like the voice of reason somewhat. It's still biased, but it's like openly about, you know what I mean? It's like openly biased. It doesn't like lie and try to like fact check stuff for like bias purposes or do things like that. It understands that it's like a right wing network and it's like open about it as opposed to like other, left wing propaganda networks.
See, I haven't watched Fox since they fired Tucker. I,
I don't know. Tucker got a little weird. I get
um,
why they. I don't know. I don't remember why they fired him. I actually don't remember.
as because he spoke out against Ukraine. I only watch Tucker anyway. Sean Hannity would always come on after Tucker, and like he would rope me in sometimes because Sean Hannity's shtick is always like, we have 4 pieces of breaking news tonight, and like he would, they do that segment where Tucker talks to him, and I'm like listening, I'm like, 4 pieces of breaking news, like what is going on here? And he'd be like, the first 5 minutes, he'd be like, here's our first piece of breaking news. The media is out to get Trump. I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's not breaking news. This is ridiculous. So I was like, I can't watch this guy anymore. Laura Ingraham, she really pisses me off sometimes the way she interviews people because she always talks over them. Like, always. I just can't stand.
You know who's the worst with that is Piers Morgan is the worst with that.
Yeah, him too. But yeah, Laura is awful at that. I can't stand her interviews. She's just so bad with the interviews. I think she's okay otherwise, but given that they're all interviews, I just can't do it. I do like the Gutfeld show. I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's all right. I think, and they actually always have like a liberal on to like kind of counterbalance them. And I like Judge Jeanine, and that's the thing. It's like they don't have that on CNN or any like. Well, CNN's like not the word. MSNBC, like they don't have that on MSNBC. No. Where there's like any Republican anything on there that it's like just straight propaganda.
Yeah,
but there's really no reliable networks anymore.
No, not networks. You have to go independent news for sure.
But yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, Love to. He says, wish Trump would have brought up Ashley Biden's diary. So, like, from an entertainment perspective, I'd say yes, but I don't know. I feel like Trump didn't need to do that. He could just hammered home Biden's awful economy and illegal immigration.
All like he didn't need everything.
Yeah, he didn't need to go there, and like just attacking Biden on that, like yeah, you could do that, but it's just not necessary, And a lot of like normie independents like don't even know about that stuff. So like
and like attacks on Biden make him look like what they want him to look like. You know what I mean?
Right.
When it's like yeah.
Exactly. Magus says Burgum, the favorite for VP right now. The betting favorite, I guess. I hope not. I don't like him too much. Mike says, what, showering with your 14-year-old daughter is normal? Yeah, it's very, very weird. And then he says, no, but sleeping with your dead brother's widow is a lot of weird stuff. They always say like Trump's the immoral one, but like you look at that family, it's
gaslighting. It's all projection and gaslighting. It's so frustrating to listen to and watch when they do that, because Biden's the dictator. Biden's the one politically persecuting his opponent. Biden's the one who tried to start a ministry of truth with like some far left nut woman. You remember that? Like people forget about that he literally tried to start like a ministry of disinformation, which is completely insane. Like he went around the Supreme Court to try to forgive student debt, to try to win over voters and like buy off voters. Yeah, and he went around the Supreme Court, which he claimed. It's like he goes 1 minute saying you have to respect the judiciary when it comes to prosecuting Trump, but the next minute he doesn't respect the Supreme Court because they overturned Roe v. Wade. But the next minute he does respect. It's all nonsense. And it's all projection and it's all gaslighting, and that's what I hate about the whole thing.
It's all projection. Like they have no real policies, so they have to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they call other people racist, but then they make policies that are all about dividing people by race.
Exactly. Yeah. Chris says, yes, Tom finally convinced you to get into WNBA. Well, hold on a second here. I'm never going to watch a WNBA game unless it's during that live stream that we talked about, which I don't want to do, but it's for Tom's birthday, so we're going to have to. But I can officially announce that I have won $30 on this DraftKings lineup. Actually, it's really $10 because I put 20 into it. So 20 to win 30. Congratulations to me. Magus says Trump was saying all this crap on Oprah decades ago.
Yeah, that's who he is.
Yeah, exactly. So John says, I don't want to sway anyone politically, but Jim Kelly's wife said that Trump called Jim on a daily basis asking how he was when Kelly was going through the cancer treatments. I believe that for sure. I mean, Trump seems
believe
like,
it.
Yeah, Trump seems like,
I believe it.
Yeah, I actually know someone who met Trump. It was like he's the father of like a fallen soldier, and he got the Purple Heart for his son. And he told me the story where he went to the White House. It was like during the summer, and Trump greeted him. It was nice and everything like that. And so he was supposed to come back during Christmas for a dinner. And so he comes back for Christmas, and Trump is talking to some people. He's like, I don't want to interrupt. And like Trump saw him, and he's like, excuse me. And he went up to the guy, and he's like, hey, how are you doing? Like, and he said his name, and he's like, how you been, and everything like that. And like he just like the guy was like, yeah, he remembered my name just from 6 months ago, and like he was so nice when I met him. And I heard that a lot. Like Trump and like where he works, he sometimes goes down and like gives the workers $50 bills. Like he just you see like what the media portrays him to be is like not true at all.
And how he presents himself, unfortunately. But like I just think that it's like they always say, like it's always the people that seem like they're the nicest in Hollywood are always the biggest dicks in real life.
That's true.
And it's hard because you can't see behind the scenes, but I feel like he's probably not a bad dude.
Yeah. I agree. Mega Alexandria says, Andrew, are you trolling or did you get all your news from CNN and MSNBC? Yeah, Andrew, you should check out some, not even don't say Fox News, but like independent news sources and stuff like that. And that's what I recommend. Trump called Sheriff Aprios' wife often when she had cancer too. Trump is a good man in private. That's what I've heard for sure. Like it says, never argue with an idiot. They will drag you down to the level and beat you with experience. That's from Mark Twain. You can do that though, and it makes for good content sometimes. So I like to post it on the site. Lofty says we're nearing an ice age. I remember that vividly. Every 10 years, we only have 10 years left. I think like Greta Thunberg 6 years ago said that we have 5 years left. So
how dare you?
How dare you? How dare you? Yeah,
you're destroying my dreams or something. I can't remember what she says. Nonsense.
Yeah, she's crazy. We have a super chat from Slew. I just lost it. Where'd it go? Here it is. $1.31. Thank you so much, Slew. I really appreciate it. You're one of the best. Always contributing here. Just really appreciate it. Let's see. Where was I? So John says, wasn't Tulsi Gabbard progressive or something? Yeah, she changed her political views. I think like she learned a lot, and I think like the way the Democrats went after her when she challenged Kamala Harris during the debate, she like killed Kamala Harris's hopes. And unfortunately, like Biden just made her VP, even though like no one liked her. But like I think Kamala is one of the favorites. And then Tulsi brought up the fact that she had people on death row that she just kept on there despite having evidence of their innocence. And she enslaved people in prisons to clean up the fires in California. Like Tulsi brought up all the stuff during the debates, and like that killed Kamala Harris's hopes of being president. And the Democrats attacked Tulsi so much over that. And I think she kind of realized like, hey, I shouldn't be aligned with these people. You know, I feel like that was a really good learning experience for her. And, you know, people can change their minds, like based on experiences that they have. Like, I think that's like totally fair.
I think it's also that the left became so radical that she also just was like, I can't. I think a lot of people are in that boat where there used to be just normal moderate Democrats. Mm-hmm. And then they saw that the far left became so radical with like, you know, this identity politics and stuff. And they just couldn't take it anymore. Like they couldn't be part of it.
Yeah. Sue says, no shutouts, 131 days to election day. Remember, based on past performances, Trump has to get 82 million votes to win. He's going to win those swing districts and swing states. That's the most important thing. My fear is like he'll get like 85 million votes, and like Biden or someone else will get like 101 million out of nowhere, and like it's like, wait a second, that's more voters than we have. Like at some point, like you have to like wonder about these numbers. And I guess maybe that time was in 2020. Lefty says Tulsi is probably a little too far left for most GOP voters, but like the GOP voters aren't going to be like, oh, I was going to vote for Trump, but now that Tulsi's VP, I'm not going to vote for her. You know, like the people who are going to vote for Trump are going to vote for him regardless of who he picks for VP. It's the independents 100%. That you have to convince. That's the major thing. So
yeah, anybody that wants to vote for Trump has already made up their mind. They're voting for Trump. They're not going to like change their mind and be like, yeah, I'm going to go for Biden. Not even close.
Yeah. Exactly. John says Tulsi was a Bernie supporter, I thought. I know some Bernie supporters who are now pro-Trump. Like, you can change your mind. The one thing Bernie had was he seemed like he was he actually like believed that what he was talking about. He's not like one of these frauds. And then when they stole the election from him in 2016, he just bent the knee to Hillary, and I thought that was the end for him.
He's the worst. He's like a psycho.
Yeah, he would always say the millionaires and billionaires, and then he became a millionaire, and then he was like, no, the billionaires. Like he just stopped talking about millionaires.
His like views are psycho. He's
I know.
whack job.
I know. Chris says Jimmy Kimmel would fit in on The View. Yeah, he's a liberal woman, so he would fit in well.
Jimmy Kimmel's the worst.
He's horrible. Yeah,
the worst.
Ron Paul, 2028. Unfortunately, he's a little too old, but yeah, I wish he would have won instead of he ran 2012, right, or 2008, I think. I guess if only he ran one instead of Obama. Mike says Tulsi Gabbard had the swatch of white in her hair. I bet Biden tried to sniff that out. She's well, I think she's a little too old for him, to be honest. Disgruntled says they probably fired Tucker because it was a condition of settling the lawsuit with what that vote machine company. Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been it too, which is a shame because he was the best guy that they had on the air.
He was the most entertaining. He was super entertaining.
Yeah. And then he says Hannity was actually better when he had Combs to play off of. Yeah, I think so. I don't like him too much now. Stanley asks, Walt, were you a fan of Bill O'Reilly? He's okay. I never loved him, never hated him. I thought just watching him was okay. Never a fan. Did you like O'Reilly?
I haven't really watched too much of him, so I don't know. Just like the clips where he freaks out and says we'll do it live. I just remember that. Yeah. But I haven't really seen him too much in interviews and things, so I don't know.
Yeah. Sue says Fox called Arizona early in 2020. What garbage? Yeah, that was part of me turning off of Fox. But I was at least they still had Tucker, but now they don't Tucker anymore. Let's see. Hey, Lofty says that's the reason I can't listen to Clay and Buck always interrupting guests. That's the worst. I hate when people interrupt guests or people interrupt each other.
I get really mad. Go ahead. Sorry. I just interrupted. The irony.
I know.
I'm doing it again.
Right. No, it's no, I really dislike that. I just think you should have a conversation where one person listens to the other, and it's just when people talk over each other, you're just that person's not listening to the other. They just want to get their point across. So never like that.
I get frustrated for the person they're doing it. I get really mad because if I was in a situation like that and in a real interview, and Vivek Ramaswamy is actually one of the best. He keeps it cool so well when he's getting talked over.
Yeah.
And whenever I watch him in interviews, I'm I would lose my mind. I'd be yo, calm down, buddy. Give me a sec. I would just lose it. I would start cursing them off. I'd be stop talking over me and effing talk. Yeah. But I'm always impressed when somebody can handle that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anyway. For sure. Chris says Newsom has moved to plus 650. Man, wow. That's a big move. It was 16-1 and now it's 6.5-1. That is a huge move. Someone might know something, or people are just really betting Newsom after the display we had from Biden tonight. That's crazy. Disgruntled says, I don't think Trump will pick him, but I'm all for Vivek. Imagine what he would have done to Biden tonight. Or I mean, it's the VP debate. Imagine Vivek versus Kamala. That would be completely one-sided.
That's a joke. That's not even funny.
No, it really is. Although I would love to see Tulsi versus Kamala again, just for the lulls. But no, I see. The thing is, I'd rather have Vivek in a more in a better situation. VP is not that important. It only is that the president becomes incapacitated. I'd rather have Vivek in the administration somewhere in a cabinet, like a powerful position where he can actually do something. Whereas the VP, they're just the tiebreaker for the Senate, and they do stuff for the president, but really they're only there as an insurance policy. Now I
would want him in a sorry, I'm dead.
No, he's a great insurance policy, and I think that's the thing, and I think that's why the libertarians like him so much, or they'd vote for Trump in that instance if they picked him. But I'd rather have him be more influential and just count on Trump making it the 4 years.
Yes, I would want him as close to Trump in an advisory role. He's too smart to have in some stupid position.
Yeah. John says CNN snap poll 67% said Trump, 33% are idiots. Yeah, imagine what the vote count would be on a non-liberal station. It's slanted toward left, and the leftists say Trump won, which is crazy. Wow. Yeah, Stanley says Trump won this debate because listening to Joe Biden was like listening to an old person babbling at a nursing home. That's it. That was my point where you don't know if Trump won this debate because if they replaced Biden with someone better, then you could argue he actually lost because that's a tougher situation for him.
That's true.
But Biden is the true loser of this debate because he's almost certainly going to be replaced now. I think that's how you have to take it. That's what the takeaway is from tonight.
I wish, but Trump had never done the debate. It was a bad move.
That's good point. Good, you were right all along for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's yet another reason why it was a bad move. And now, if they replace Biden, I think Trump might. I don't know what'll happen.
Yeah. Descanso says Tulsi was raised fairly conservative. She may have not ever run as a Democrat if she wasn't from Hawaii. Okay, I don't know about her upbringing, but that would make sense. Hawaii is pretty liberal.
And Democrats used to also be normal. They weren't like we didn't live in a country where like it was like Democrats and Republicans were like arch enemies, and we live in like a crazy society now. That's just the polar extremes. Well, actually, I feel like the right is just kind of the right, and the left has gone nuts. And it didn't used to be that way. There used to just be like moderate Democrats that were just normal people that had normal views on things.
Yeah,
and it's just not like that anymore.
Exactly. Love T says Bill O'Reilly was always my guy. I haven't watched Fox as much as he got canned. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about Tucker. I just I have not turned on Fox News since then. Sam says has Fox News has become fake conservatives and now are trying to mimic CNN and MSNBC. So I think there are more like there are two sects of Republicans or conservatives. There are the Bush Republicans, and then there are like the populist Republicans. And I think they are more Bush Republicans, the establishment sort of deal. Whereas like if you want populist Republican stuff, you have to go to independent news sources because you're not going to get that on mainstream TV. So let's see. We have a few more. This one says VP is useless, but sets you up as a successor for 2028. I think that's true, but I don't think like the VP for Trump is necessarily going to be the front runner for president in 2028. I don't think it has to be the case. Although it would help for sure. John says my politics is more like Reagan, Bush. I'd rather prefer someone like Rubio or Cruz for VP. Okay, yeah, I'm more libertarian than you. I always say that I'm like the most libertarian person that people have ever met. Like I just said that I'd get us off the U.S. dollar if I were governor. So it's yeah, like I'm a little out there, but still. Sue says in the old days I started my day with Rush. Now it's Bannon. Okay, well hopefully Bannon stays out of prison. Which is 3 days, I think, that he's supposed to report to prison. And then Mike says, I want to see Tulsi, Kamala, pistol duel. that would be fun. All right, that's all the comments. We got through all of them. So, yeah, thanks so much, guys, for watching, commenting. Really appreciate it. Again, we were up to like 2,200 viewers at one point. So, yeah, this is awesome. Love doing this. We'll have to do more of this stuff. I wanted to get to TV shows like The Boys and House of the Dragon, but we can do that on another time. Hopefully you can come back on sometime soon.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, that's about it. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. Wonderful. Do you want to shout anything out? Anything to plug? Any charities? Anything you like? Like it's floor source.
I mean, my new book's coming out on Friday. No, I'm kidding. I got nothing. I don't.
I was about to order it.
You find it on shelves in a store near you. It's called something. No, I got nothing to plug. I got nothing.
You can just go to ChatGPT and ask you to write a book, and you can.
That's true.
Have a book.
That's sad, but true.
It really is. John says best looking co-host you've had. Well, that's man. Jacob and Tom and Kenny and Ben. They're all going to be angry. Golf guys too. Don't forget about them. They're not going to take too kindly to that, John. No, that's funny. So yeah, thanks guys. Once again, we'll be back on Saturday. Tom is going to be on. He's confirmed. So yeah, we're going to get to our Game of Thrones recap and other stuff, I'm sure. And Chris says we'll wait till the swimsuit competition. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I used to wear a Speedo in swimming. So Stanley says, okay, last thing. Do you think LeBron James has manipulated the NBA by forcing the Lakers to draft this on Bronny? Yes. There's a report saying that his agent told teams not to draft Bronny James as if they would. He averaged like 4 points per game in college. So like, I don't know why anyone would draft him. I called him nepotism James because there was no way he was going to be drafted otherwise. But yeah, it was a complete joke for sure. And then Johnson's House of the Dragon is great. So yeah, I look forward to talking about that with you on the full.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Mike says great podcast tonight, something a little different. Yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I mean, based on the viewers and the comments we had, it sounds like you guys did. So yeah, we'll have to do more of this kind of stuff. Chris says, I think it's incredible. LeBron is the first to play with the son after he previously played with his dad, Delonte West. Awesome. That's so funny. All right, guys. We have to head out. We'll be, like I said, we'll be back Saturday. And thanks so much for watching. And